Welcome to Shielded Voices, the podcast where we break the stigma, build resilience, and support the men and women who serve our communities. I'm Mitch, a dedicated law enforcement professional with over 8 years of full-time experience and a combined 15 years of experience in law enforcement. My journey began as a police cadet, a reserve police officer, and now I am a full-time deputy. I am a defensive tactics instructor, an emergency vehicle operations instructor, and a former drug recognition expert. Now, I'm here to share the conversations that matter the most.
And I'm Brian, a deputy with over 15 years of service. I bring my experience as a defensive tactics instructor, emergency vehicle operations instructor, field training officer, a member of the riot team, as well as the narcotics team as a liaison. I'm also a veteran of the United States Army, and I am passionate about faith, family, and supporting our brothers and sisters in law enforcement.
Together, we're here to share stories, insights, and real talk about the challenges and triumphs of life in law enforcement. Whether it's breaking down the barriers around mental health, reflecting on our own shared experiences, or providing tools for growth and recovery, we're here to have the conversations that matter.
Our goal is simple: to support first responders, foster open communication, and remind everyone in this community that they are never alone. This is a space for growth, connection, and building stronger voices together.
Thank you for joining us. Let's dive into today's episode where we continue to break the silence. Before we get into this episode, I just want to say what you're about to hear is heavy. This is part 2 of the conversation Brian and I recorded a while back. And this is the part where I really open up. We talk about trauma. We talk about alcohol abuse. We talk about the kind of darkness that convinces you the world might be better off without you. These were some of the hardest moments of my life. For a long time, I buried this stuff deep, hoping no one would ever see how much I was hurting. I thought if I just kept pushing, kept working, kept pretending, I'd be okay. But I wasn't. And the truth is, pretending nearly killed me. What you'll hear in this episode is real, is raw, and it's the result of finally being willing to stop hiding and start healing. I don't share this because I want attention. I share it because I know there are others out there still carrying the same weight I used to. And if that's you, I want you to know there is a way through. You are not alone. So thank you for being here, for listening, for holding space for this part of my story. Let's get into part 2. This is comfy.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, in your little recliner.
Yeah.
Like you have a little, like I said, you got your little blankie behind you.
Oh.
Your blankie wanky.
Just need a fireplace in here now.
You got your sippy cup there too.
They made Dutch Brothers wrong, so they gave us a free one.
Was that like a Dutch Brothers energy drink?
Yeah.
Bro, it's 10:45 p.m.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
I took my ADHD medication late anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Oh my God. Yeah, like, you and I have had this conversation, bro. Like, there's a thing called your circadian rhythm.
Yeah.
Fuck, I know. Man. You're killing me.
Well aware.
I send you a text this morning. It's like, I don't know, was it 7:45 or something? And like
way too fucking early.
At 11 o'clock, you're like, why are you sending me a text that early in the morning? I'm like, it's 7:45 in the morning. You're like, the sun's not even up. I'm like, the sun's been up for an hour and a half. Like, what are you talking about?
Way too fucking early.
Yeah, it's like, you don't even work graveyard. You're not even working. Like, come on.
That's true.
You
neither you sleep in.
What's that?
I said, you're not working either. You need to be sleeping in.
That is, man. I'll be honest. For me, there are days when you and I have talked about, like, the night terrors and the tremors. Yep. Sometimes, right? Yep. What's weird is when those happen, it's exhausting, and then I'll fall back asleep. By the time my wife gets out of bed, and I'll be like, holy shit, I slept till 9 o'clock in the morning, and that's late for me. That's late, and you're like, and it's exhausting. And even though it only lasts that, whatever, a couple of minutes or whatever, there are nights there are days that I sleep in. It's not necessarily for healthy reasons.
Not by choice, right?
Yeah, and you wake up and you feel like, oh my God, I just got ran over, and then you're trying to get up, and I'm out of caffeine. I don't drink caffeine. I drink
Well, you
decaf
should.
coffee.
Tonight's gonna be a late night. We got some shit to cover.
Not gonna be that damn late. I'm old.
Yeah, you are.
Mitch, I'm fragile. I need my beauty sleep.
I don't know if that's gonna help.
Yeah, probably not. Again, face for radio. I'm too fucking ugly. Like, it is what it is. Whatever. As I'm drinking my sleepy time tea.
It's definitely not coffee.
No. I can't it's weird with ever since the TRT issues we've talked about in the past and the crap that it's done to me if I drink caffeine. If I drink caffeine, I just don't feel good. I don't like it.
Oh yeah. I had 2 cups of coffee a couple days ago. After I take my ADHD medication, I'm like, oh fuck, I need to watch the amount of caffeine I put in my body.
Dude, my best friend, and I'll say his name, Adam. This motherfucker, again, been best friends for damn near 30 years. This motherfucker can drink a Bang energy drink and go to bed.
Fuck.
Just go to bed. And it's not ADHD. There's no medications involved. Like, it could be, we could be sitting around at the house or up hunting or camping, and it'd be like, yeah, and I look over and I'm like, what is that? He goes, oh, it's a Bang or a Rain or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, bro, like it's bedtime. He's like, yeah, I'll be fine. He just goes to sleep.
It's probably because he does have ADHD and it actually helps.
Probably.
It's effective.
Right. There was one time on our way over hunting, and from my house to our hunting camp is 6 hours, 5.5, 6 hours. My son and I are driving, and we go through this is years. He's a teenager. Matter of fact, I know exactly how old he was. It was the year he killed his first bull elk. So he's 16. We go through this small town. He's like, Dad, stop in here. I'm going to see if I can grab a Rain. I'm like, dude, it's Condon, Oregon. I go, dude, this is Condon. Like, they're not going to have, this is back in the day. Like, they're not going to have Rains and Red Bulls. Like, they have a Mercantile, kid. Like, he's like, well, come on, let's just stop in here. I'm like, oh, whatever, let's stop. Bro, that's all they had in there. Red Bull, Rain, Bang, like monsters, all rock stars. I'm like, geez, okay, cool. And I'm coming off I had worked a graveyard shift the night before. I got off at 4 a.m, so I come home. Everything's loaded up from the day before. We're driving. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get one of those too, because we still got, 4 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm getting pretty fucking tired. Mitch, I'm not kidding you. I bet you I drank less than half of that, and it was a Rain watermelon. I bet you I drank less than half of that thing, and we're only 30 minutes out of Condon in the middle of nowhere, Oregon. I'm having a fucking heart attack. It's happening. My vision, I'm getting the tunnel vision, and I'm like, I'm pulling a 28-foot trailer behind me, and I'm like, oh, dude, I don't feel good, son. Like I pulled over, and I was like, I think you're gonna have to drive, and the nearest hospital is John Day. Like, we're 4 hours.
Shit, yeah.
We're gonna need to haul ass because there's no cell service, and he's laughing his ass off at me. I'm like, I'm fucking dying, dude. Like, you don't get it. So we actually just pulled over, and I just hydrated, and it took me about 30 minutes, and I felt fine. Never again.
Oh, nope. Yeah. It's a bad experience.
Yeah. Anyway, the stories flow. Where were we at? I'm going to go back to you and Ashley. Get back together. You got get back together. You guys are together. You proposed at the beach. Big wedding.
Oh yeah, expensive wedding.
Did her parents pay?
A majority of it, yeah.
Damn right they did.
Yep.
Damn right they did.
Both of our families are very traditional.
Yeah.
When it comes to stuff like that. So it's like my family hosted the rehearsal dinner, paid for that, and then her parents paid for the wedding. I'm going to be traditional like that too with my daughter. Of course, it's just how I am.
Yeah. Yeah, I was fortunate. My beautiful daughter got married this last September to an amazing, amazing dude. And same, like I worked, I just needed to know how much it's going to cost. I need to know how many overtime shifts to work, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, it could be this, it could be that. I'm like, what? Could you give me a hard number? And my wife's like, just go work overtime. We'll let you know. I'm like, okay. So I had to work a shit ton of overtime to pay for it. Thankfully, though, it was family property, and a lot of stuff was taken care of by family. But still, you're the daddy.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you how I proposed to, or how I asked her father for his permission?
No.
It was on a ride along. It was fine. I had a pretty good relationship.
He was on a ride along, and you asked? Oh no!
But
you point your taser at him?
No, I drove him way out far west, Western County, in the middle of nowhere. And I'd asked him. He said, "Well, of course, we'd love to have you as a part of the family." And I told him afterwards. I said, "If you would have said no, I would have just dropped you off out here."
Right. We always tease that. I always used to, like back in the day, like all you guys that worked at West End. It's like, I bet you those deputies, they got pre-dug holes out there, just kind of in random places for.
I can't comment on that. That's part of being a West End guy.
That's awesome. And then how long were you guys married before you had your first little one?
Oh shit! I think my son was conceived during the honeymoon.
Jeez.
We did not have much time. No. We knew that we wanted to have kids. We talked about it over and over. And when she got pregnant, we were ecstatic. I
love it.
There was no issues with that. We were ready. I mean,
that's the best thing in the world.
Young parents. But,
how did she tell you? You remember?
No, it wasn't anything extravagant.
Really?
Yeah. I remember how she told me about my daughter, though.
Yeah? How'd that go?
I was sleeping. I think I just got done working the third shift back when or the fourth shift when we had 5 shifts.
Okay.
So I crawled into bed. It was early in the morning. I get woken up. She's shoving my shoulder. And I open up my eyes, bathroom lights on. I barely could see this stick in front of my face.
And it smelled like piss.
She goes, "I think I'm pregnant." I go, "What the fuck? What are you I haven't even woken up yet."
Were you guys trying?
No.
But were you not trying? It was just like, if it happens, it happens?
Correct.
Or were you...
Yeah, if it happens, it happens. We just weren't expecting them to be 15 months apart.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's how you just woke up to a piss stick in your face. So I found out I was in the military. I was gone training. And, back in those days, airports, family could come out to like, the gate or wherever the airplane's at. And I remember, it's just all of us Army guys. When we get off the plane and you could see families and I see in the distance, there's like, somebody's got this big thing of balloons and I'm rousing my buddies. I'm like, which one of you fuckers? Like, your wife brought balloons, dude. Like, and they're like, no, I don't. It's a distance away. Like, you can't see. We're all the jokes, right? Like, who's the sissy bitch's wife that blah, 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 right? And as I get closer, I'm like, fuck, that's my wife. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you're embarrassing the balloons? Are you shitting me? And as I get closer, I look at the balloons, and there's 2 balloons. One of them says it's a boy. The other one says it's a girl. And the balloons are being held down with a little baby pair of combat boots.
Oh.
That's how I was like ecstatic. And all my buddies were high-fiving and hugging. And yeah, it was cool. It was super
that's
cool.
Awesome to have your buddies be a part of that too.
Yeah, it was super cool. It was cool. Kudos to her for, and I wasn't gone long enough training that it could be
in my head.
Yeah, no, I wasn't a deployment. I wasn't gone that long where she's like, oh yeah, fuck one of your buddies while you're gone. It wasn't like that. It was nothing like that. I just thought everybody's probably like, yeah, sure, it's your kid. Well, if you ever met my son, you'd know damn well it's my kid. That is for sure. Wow. Well, now what? It's like it's almost 11 o'clock at night, and you getting ready for the snow?
I'm hoping it's going to snow, but
Shut your mouth.
Well, people out your area don't know how to drive in the snow. They just abandon their car on the side of the road.
Bro, the highway where you live, stop. Now, out here, it's the other way around, and you know it. Like, everything stops at the tunnel. Like, people just leave their car. It's can't drive it.
I got a Subaru. I can make it.
Yeah, right. I don't think we're going to get, I don't know, watching the weather. We'll see.
No, it's been sunny and clear.
Yeah, but next Monday they're talking about a little bit of snow down here, possibly. And we usually don't get snow here till February anyway. So we've had more snow the last few years than we have. We've had a lot of snow.
Yeah.
It used to be growing up, man, we've just got a trace of snow. And guess what? We still fucking went to school.
No, I didn't have to go to school when it snowed.
Fucking sissies. These fucking millennials, man.
Yes, you walked uphill both ways in the snow.
With no shoes on.
Yeah, of course.
Exactly. Yeah. No, but now they're like, oh, there's snow in the forecast. Close everything down. Shut it down. And this piece of shit state, they refuse to use salt, which is the one, like you go in the Midwest, that's why everybody can drive. They salt the damn roads, right? They salt the roads. Yeah. We can't salt the roads. It's bad for the environment. I'm sorry. Where the fuck does salt come from?
The environment.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing it's not like Morton's table salt they're putting down. It's probably a chemical that's probably bad for the environment. It probably, if they put salt down on the roads, it probably kills, like, I don't know, some endangered smelt or some shit in the river. Who fucking knows? This fucking state, piece of shit.
Bad for your cars. I know that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there is that. I mean, but this, the state is always so underprepared for everything, forest fires and all that crap. I mean, get into the forest fire. I mean, look at California.
Mm-hmm.
Oregon's no different. Look at the massive fire. What was that? 2017, the big fires. Was that 2017? Yeah. I think it was.
I remember growing up during some of those Eastern Oregon fires. My dad was deployed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember coming home during I think it was the 2017 fire. We were driving home. It was September. We're driving on our way back from archery elk hunting. We've been up there our typical, 18, 20 days, whatever. And they hadn't shut the gorge down yet. So we're coming from Eastern Oregon. Bro, the fire and is right next to us. And you're blazing through there. And what are these motherfuckers doing? They're stopping to take pictures. Like, you're driving through an inferno. You're like, and I'm pulling it. I mean, there's embers falling. I'm pulling a trailer, and all I care about, I want to do 90 because I don't want those embers falling on the roof of my trailer.
Yeah. Keep it moving.
Just a fuck. What a shithole. Shithole.
Well, let's get deep. What's a burning desire you have to ask me?
Burning desire I have to ask you. Man, I don't know if I got any burning desire. I already know all the STDs you've contracted over your life.
Thanks to you.
Yeah. I'm top, just so you know. No, I mean, I don't, nothing really. Like, it's
yeah.
It's, I mean, I think you kind of talked about your childhood, and it sounds like your mom, how did she come through her addiction? And how old were you when that all, came to head?
I want to say probably 3 or 4 years into my career. She
also pretty recent.
Yeah. A lot of counseling and support from me, and obviously her faith brought her through everything. Yeah.
So she was a Christian during all of this, I'm assuming.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, throughout my entire childhood, she would drag me to church. She just fell into...
Drag you to church?
Yeah. I didn't appreciate church as a child. I think that the way it was presented to me was just boring.
Mm-hmm.
we would go sit in the chapel and someone would just read from a Bible. I never really did Bible studies for kids.
Right.
Or any of that. Never really made any friends at church.
What about your dad? Was he working on church or was he not?
If he wasn't working, he wouldn't go.
Really?
Yeah. Would not go to church with us except for Christmas.
What about now?
No. I don't think my mom has found a church since she's moved an hour and a half away from me. I know she still practices her faith, though.
Wait a minute, your parents live an hour and a half away from you?
They do. That makes it hard.
And your dad still works for the same agency?
He does. He commutes an hour and a half.
Are you shitting me?
Oh, but that's the thing is he works 24 hours on, 48 hours off.
That's true. Type in the chat where they like what city they live in.
Yeah.
So I can get an idea that way we're not airing it. But I guess that makes sense. Like I knew a guy. He was a reserve. Matter of fact, the same guy that they mistaked me for during that whole process. He was another reserve at the time. Last I knew years ago, he went to work for fire department in the big city over in Central Oregon, but still kept his house here because it was the same thing, right? You'd work whatever it is, 24 on, 48 off, or whatever it was. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I guess I would probably do the same. I wouldn't live here, that's for sure.
Yeah. Part of my childhood is it's hard to remember. I think I blocked so much of it out. Unfortunately.
You really? You think so? Just like because of trauma?
Because of trauma. It's one thing I'm working through therapy. But yeah, I blocked a lot of it out. I was more focused on myself and not the issues around me. It's not like I was ever abused. But I remember I got in trouble for something. My dad bent me over his lap and spanked me. And I laughed at him, so he spanked me harder. That's as far as it ever went.
You know? Bro, I got my ass beat. I mean, we got the belt. George.
He would pull it out and he would clap the belt.
Oh, yeah. Snap it?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yep. Because guess why? That's what his dad did to him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. We had a belt. His name was George. It was the same belt my grandfather used on my father.
Wow.
Well, my dad used it a lot on my older brother, to the point that my dad, handing it down to the family, my brother burned the motherfucker as soon as he got it. Took it out to his fire pit and fucking burnt that son of a bitch. Like that, I was like, oh shit. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh. Yep. That's what therapy's for, right?
Yeah, no shit.
That's why there's an industry. Ah, man, I'm like, your parents did the best they knew how to do. Right? All parents do.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing now with my kids.
Yeah.
4.5 and 3.5.
Yeah, but you're recognizing things. I hope, early enough, hopefully early enough in their lives.
One memorable lesson that Ashley actually taught me was when Chase was younger, he smacked Ashley in the face. So I pulled him off the couch and I spanked him.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me, you're teaching him not to hit by hitting him.
Right.
And that really clicked for me. It's stuck with me ever since.
Yeah, and I'm a believer in spanking. Now,
me too.
When I say I'm a believer in spanking, there's a time and a place, and there's also a kid. There's like my daughter. I think I literally she got spanked maybe 3 times. Like she's one of those that didn't need to get spanked. My son, he needed to get his butt whooped. I wouldn't say needed. He got his butt whooped.
Right.
I think I think every kid is different. And your dad, so you only got spanked one time?
No, I got spanked plenty of times. That was just the most memorable.
That was just the final.
Moment.
That was like the last.
It's like, oh,
like,
shit.
what? This shit ain't working anymore.
Yeah.
I think everybody that grew up getting spanked, especially boys, I think they would have a similar story about the last time their dad spanked them, where you just turn around and look at them and go, "You done?" And then
Is that all you got?
Any good dad is going to go, "Yeah, this isn't working anymore. This isn't the route we need to go." I think, but you said, when you say though, Mitch, when you say like, yeah, you weren't abused as a kid, I wasn't either. But hearing what you're saying, we've talked about in the past vicarious traumas, right? What the traumas that your mom was experiencing, it's vicarious to you for kids. Yeah. It's sad. It breaks my heart that your mom went through trauma. We all do, but to the level that she did, whatever those were, I'm not going to venture to guess, but that led her down that path. And then with having two young kids as well. And I can imagine the guilt that she's carried with her over the years for that. That's tough.
Yeah. And growing up too, my dad was an alcoholic. He's recovered. He's been sober. He's been sober for as long as Chase has been alive. That was the turning point for him.
Was his grandson?
Yeah.
Really? So when Chase was born, that's when he said, enough's enough.
Yep. Yeah, he wanted to be present for him, and I think that was more of a self-reflection that maybe he wasn't as present as he should have been during my childhood, and wanted to change that for my kids.
Man, I hear you say it. All I can think of is God has done so much work in your family, dude. So much work. Whether it was sought after by you or your mom or your dad or not, bro. Like hearing God is working. What through your dad's sobriety, has he ever talked to you about, like, was it due to the job?
He's never talked to me about it, but that's my assumption.
Yeah, but I think it's easy for people to assume that just because we're first responders, right? Like one of the times I went to the emergency room a year ago for all my heart crap, right before we knew what was going on, I intentionally didn't tell them what I did for a living because I know exactly what they're going to say. And they're like, we don't know what's going on. Everything looks healthy. I think it's fine. It could be this medical issue. It could be that medical issue, but we need more tests. And then hours later, I can't even remember how they found out what I did for a living. They went, oh, well, it's because you're a cop. You're dismissed. You're discharged. I'm like, yeah, it's anxiety. I'm like, no, it's not anxiety. Yeah, it's not.
That's not fair to your treatment. That's.
No, but and what I'm talking about with your dad, and that's my point, dude, is like with your dad, is it? Or maybe he's,
Sure, maybe there's been something that we've never talked about that could have been stemming from his childhood or his parents.
He doesn't ever talk to you about calls?
Since I got into this career, we bullshit about calls.
That's crazy. I would think it would be, and I don't know your dynamic with your dad, but like, to be able to share in that, you know what I mean? Especially sharing in sobriety, bro. Like, is he mentoring you through that?
No, he doesn't know.
Well, he's about to.
Correct. Yeah, a lot of people are about to.
And how long? How many days sober are you now?
I am 1 month and 1 week.
1 month and 1 week. I like it. Good for you, man.
Yeah.
Good for you. And your mom and dad don't know anything about that.
They don't. No, alcohol consumed my life.
Mm-hmm.
I look towards alcohol as a relief from everything I've seen, because I've spent half of my life dealing with trauma. And one thing I've talked in therapy or realized in therapy is I was a child when I started going through these traumatic events, shit that, people would never experience or would hardly ever experience. I was experienced it as a child repeatedly over and over.
At 15 years old.
Yeah.
At
yeah,
15
so half
years
of my
old.
life. Yeah, so I look towards alcohol for relief, and everyone knows how that goes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that I come from a family of alcoholics, I started down that path.
How bad did it get?
I was dealing with it for...
You're functioning.
Yeah, the last 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
It was to the point of blackouts, pissing myself, puking, almost weekly, to the point of I have a problem, I need to cut it back, to drinking every night but not blacking out. Just as a relief, just to feel something different other than how I was feeling.
Mm-hmm. Because of pick your call, pick your trauma. And it's not, my guess is it's not, we've talked about it too, it's not only what you do for a living, but you take, for you, like you take all your childhood shit, and it's for everybody, but we're specifically talking about you, all your childhood shit, the vicarious traumas. You literally, your dad was an alcoholic, or is an alcoholic, because once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic.
Correct. Yeah.
Your mom's an alcoholic. Is it or alcohol or prescription drugs?
Prescription
whichever.
pills, yeah.
Okay, prescription. So addict. And that's what you're living, and that's traumatic for a kid. It's traumatic. Like you and your sister ran away from that as soon as you could. Thank God above your family's, didn't continue down that path, but then you dealing with all that, and then even at 15, do all the cadet stuff. You start seeing dead bodies and crashes, and because the adult cops, it's like there's this culture, and I've seen it with the younger cadets or explorers or whatever they call them now. Like I don't agree with the program. I never have.
Completely, yeah.
I don't agree with it. Because I see so many people are like, well, this is what you want to do for a living. I know you're 16 or 15, but you need to come see this dead body and get used to it. No, they don't. No, they do not.
That is what I went through. However, I had a couple mentors that would sit down with me after something like that. Okay, how do you feel? Let's talk about this call. Let's break it down. Let's break down your emotions. Are you okay with what you saw? Or even beforehand, hey, this is what you're going to expect to see if you want to see it. Right. Other people, it's like you said, hey, yeah, you want to do this job, you got to deal with it.
Like they intentionally expose you to it.
Yeah.
Like I get that for a recruit, right? A new officer, a brand new deputy. That's our job as FTOs, is to, quite honestly, give them exposure to everything, so that we can test them. And it's interesting. I'm like the Cadet Explorer program, the whole search and rescue thing. I get that. Because how often are those kids really finding dead bodies? And again, I genuinely don't know, but I wouldn't think it's that often. But at 15 or 16, one's enough.
Yeah.
And then you take all of that with your family, all of that, and then you get into the job. Like I'm actually surprised, not surprised. It wouldn't have surprised me if that was if that turned out even worse for you as far as the alcohol, given everything you've been through.
Yeah, and I mean, on top of that, as a kid, I was sexually abused.
Mm-hmm.
So that feeds into part of the trauma as well.
Mm-hmm. You and me both, brother. And what's interesting is when you talk to first responder therapists, it's that I don't know if there's anything to this, but what I've learned is there's a very high percentage of male cops that were sexually abused as kids. high percentage. I mean, it's like astounding numbers. Like, wow. And those are just the ones that are willing to talk about it later in life, right? Like,
yeah.
Yeah. So again, I go back to you take those traumas, and a lot of people say, well, that's why they become cops is to stop that from happening. No, it really is, because the the exposure for a beat cop to cases like that is few and far between. They happen, right? They happen. Unless you get up into sex crimes as a detective or something like that.
Yeah, in my 9 years, I can only remember one sex abuse occurring now.
Yeah, I can remember several. Do you remember the? We'll call it the. I don't want to name the company. It's one of the people. It's one of the companies that they like to deliver packages. Mm-hmm. I'll say that, and it's it's one of those companies, and it's not one of the big names. Anyway, whatever. It was there was a case that I got dispatched to, and it was a sex abuse occurring now, and it was one of the drivers that on his route was summertime, and like little kids playing in courtyards at apartments, and multiple stops, and sexually abusing these kids. And the company actually helped us with that case because they have trackers on their rigs, right, to be able to track this. And you go into it thinking that, man, this little person that's telling me this is, take it with a grain of salt. They're 8, 9, whatever. But man, this particular kiddo, so articulate. I'm like, my spidey senses were up. And I interviewed him, and man, he admitted to everything. And I was like, oh shit.
Wow.
That was rough, man. When we went to I had the one victim. I showed up for grand jury, and I got walked back into a conference room, which, when you go to grand jury, like, what are we doing? Mitch, I'm not kidding you. Like, I sat in that room and I had no idea. And there are probably 7 or 8 little girls in that room, but I had no idea about with their parents. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm the only cop. And I had no idea that there were that many victims. I had no clue.
Wow.
And it was, going through that grand jury, I lost it. I cried. I lost it. And he got put away. And to his, I won't say credit, but I remember during the interview, he actually thanked me and said, like, he's like, I don't want to be this person. I need to go to prison. I don't want to hurt people, and I need to go to prison. And he did. Like,
I'm sure.
Yeah, good place for him. But anyway, Jesus, that just got super deep.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Yeah. But again, we talk. It's the same crap we talk about, right? Your whole life you deal with these traumas, and then now you're numbing it with alcohol. What was your drink of choice?
When I first started, it was vodka.
I was just gonna say vodka. Why? Because it's the odor, right?
Correct.
Was it the odor thing? Were you trying to hide it, or was it just a preferred taste for you?
It was just the easiest to put down.
Really? Vodka?
For me, yeah. I mean, I could go through a half gallon in 3 days.
That's crazy. I've heard so many people say that. Like, I can't even choke vodka down. Like,
no, but when you're an alcoholic and you just want an immediate effect, or just to be drunk or black out, you can chug it, and it's just.
But you couldn't, like, with whiskey or any other rum or.
Whiskey affected me differently. I was a dick.
Really?
Yeah, and I could buy handles of vodka for cheap.
Handles?
Yeah, like a half gallon.
Oh, is that what they... Jesus, you were deep in... I wouldn't even know what a handle is.
Yeah.
And it's because they have a handle on it because it's such a big bottle?
Yep.
Oh, no shit. I just learned something new.
I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure that's what it is.
You're just making that shit up.
Fucking half gallon, dude.
So you would do a half gallon how often?
I could go through a half gallon in 3 days.
And it's just, and let me get, of course, it's your 3 days off.
Right.
Oh.
Yep. And then show up to work on Monday just feeling like shit, and just after binging
For 3 days.
just, yeah, and that's it just started affecting my work. And a lot of people listening to this now, whether you be command staff or supervisors or even the guys I work with, could have probably seen it, but too afraid to say something.
Well, I can tell. I mean, I didn't see you often, right? When we were working, we worked opposite ends of the county, different shifts. But the times I did see you, I never saw anything.
Yeah. Well, you get good at hiding it, and as you know, I never showed up to work drunk.
No.
That was because that's a career ender. Who wants to be in the news? Cop shows up to work drunk, gets in a crash on duty. That's super embarrassing, and just that would destroy my entire family. And it might sound hypocritical, but I'm a family man, and even though I was drinking during the most important time of my kids' lives, where they're developing, they're just like a sponge, right? They see everything you do. They're learning from you. And
so were you hiding it from the family?
Yeah.
Really? But what about, I remember, what about there were times, because I know there were times where like Ashley would come home and you're fucking sprawled out in the kitchen, just blacked out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing that truly affected me was when my son got a brand new art easel. And Ashley still wakes up every day at 2:00 in the morning, because this happened at 2:00 when she found me. Been gaming all night, drinking, doing what I always did on my days off, and I blacked out. I completely destroyed my son's favorite present because I lost my balance and just fucked up. And then I crawled into the kitchen and passed out, just pissed myself, just sloppy. That was my rock bottom. Unfortunately, I didn't learn from that. I knew I had a problem. I stopped drinking for about 3 months. I was like, I can't do this. I'm going to take a break. After these 3 months, I'm going to be able to drink socially. I move on with my life. I'm not going to ever drink alone. And that's what every alcoholic believes, is I can do this socially. I can stop whenever I want. I can quit.
I can have a drink. Yeah.
False. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. I started drinking again socially, then that went downhill quick again, and got to the point where
but at that point you didn't go back to vodka, did you? This is when you were hitting the seltzers.
Yeah, the hard seltzers, 8%, right? Started affecting my relationships, started affecting my work performance, and everyone would say stuff to me like, "Hey, dude, you're not the cop you used to be. You were a hard charger. What's changed?" And I would always say, "Well, I'm more cautious now that I have kids. I'm trying to be more safe. I don't want to get shot on a traffic stop if I pull a car over." Those were the excuses I was making. But in reality, it's just because I felt like shit. I just wanted to get through those 10 hours and fucking go home and drink.
Go home. Yeah. Oh, just to go home to drink.
Yeah, and this is, when Adam came on here and talked, Adam Myers, a lot of what he said I could relate to. You know, not quite intentionally injuring myself, but I would get injured somehow, and I would try to go on light duty because I didn't want to fucking work. I just wanted to fucking put in my 10 hours and go home and not deal with anyone else's shit. And it wasn't because necessarily I wanted to just 10 hours go home, drink. It was that the alcohol consumed me mentally to where I just, not like I couldn't function, but I just didn't want to function. I was so used to feeling a certain way when I was drinking that that's how I wanted to be all the time.
Well, sure. And I can imagine with the hypervigilance cycle that we've talked about too, it's a way to come chemically stop that hypervigilance cycle, which obviously we know does more damage.
Yeah.
But it is a very nice, in quotes, fix to stop that hypervigilant cycle when you get off work, and just, especially if you've had one of those days, right? Like, who knows? Because you and I both know, man, how, like, you've had days in your career where it's not just a dead body, it's several.
Yeah.
Whether it's a 200-year-old dude named Noah that died in his sleep, fine. And then it's off to a traffic crash. Then it's off to a kid that hangs himself. Then it's off to a lady that shoots her. You know what I mean? Like, and there are days where that happens repeatedly, and I can't imagine. I can't imagine because I've done it too. But
right.
But for an alcoholic, which I have not experienced, it's, you gotta. I'm guessing when you came home from shift, were you one of these guys that, even before the alcohol, did you have to decompress from a shift?
Yes.
Or could you say, okay, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Whether it's sitting in my car for 15 minutes, just sitting there, the drive home, or coming in, sitting down in the garage, just, I needed my time. Because I came home to a family. I came home to screaming kids, or just, it was always a loving family, but I just needed my
what about
time,
even at night, though?
space.
But even at night, like the time when you work and you come home and everybody's in bed, were you one of these guys that came home and still stayed up and, gamed and?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I think, and I don't know, like, I'm not a doctor, but I would think there's something to that when it comes to the addiction side too, because when you come home to decompress and you're not, because let's be honest, you start gaming, that's not decompression. It's not.
Right, but we look at it like that.
Of course. Yeah.
It's because it you can disassociate. You can
I was just
take your mind off of everything else and focus on one thing that consumes so much of you.
And you just nailed it. It's disassociation. And again, I'm not sitting here professing to be a doctor, but you and I have learned a lot just in the last few months of doing this podcast, and it's on top of therapy. But I would wonder, is there something to it? People in because I've heard these stories, and I know there's guys that don't, and gals, but I've heard so many stories where after work, everybody's gaming and drinking, gaming and drinking, gaming and drinking. Where I can say my entire life, military, law enforcement career, it doesn't matter what shift I was working. I came home, I went to bed. I literally went, cleaned my shit up, of course.
Right.
Like, I went to bed. There was that, and I fell asleep.
Yeah, I think if it were any different, if there was more education when I first started as a cadet, reserve, brand new deputy, if there's more education about being able to do that rather than, hey, go home, take your mind off of the job, do something to keep you busy.
Right.
It's like, I wish I could have gotten used, or my body could have gotten used to coming home and just going straight to bed.
Right. Well, and I'm not saying, I mean, obviously we have to decompress. Now, the difference is, for me, I had a 40-minute drive home. That's 40 minutes of just, I mean, it's driving. It's not really decompression, but it's not at work. And that's 40 minutes. That's a pretty good amount of time to decompress or process whatever. But I also, I would say audibly every single day, not a shift has gone by where I would hang my belt up at the end of the night, on the inside of our lockers, because we don't wear our uniforms home. We don't have to take home cars. As soon as I took my last thing that came off, right? Well, I would say my last thing. As soon as I took my gun belt off and hung it on the hook, I said, I'm done. I don't, it was just a habit I got into. I would say it out loud, I whisper it sometimes. I'd be like, I'm done. Hang it up. And I think that would help start that decompression process. I'm who knows? Yeah,
and this might sound really weird, but throughout the years, I've thought about making a fake little light switch. Put it on a magnet, put it in my locker.
Ooh.
Show up to work, flip it on. All right, let's go. Show up to work, turn it off.
Like a metaphor. I like it.
Yeah, but actually having that to physically do, right?
I think maybe we should make one that says, on duty, off duty.
Yeah, flick it off at the end of the day in your locker. Fucking go home, be a human.
Yeah, and I would think, man, we should come up with something like that. When you flip it on, it says something motivational.
Yeah.
Right? When you turn it off, it says something motivational about being off too.
Oh, clever. There we go.
I think we're on to something. We just have to figure out what we'd wanted to say. When you turn it off, go fuck yourself. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know.
You turn it on, it's time to fuck shit up.
Right? We used to have, and I won't say their names. I mean, a couple other guys that shared a Friday together. We called it Fuck It Up Fridays. And it was only on Fridays. And because I was off, it was my Friday because I was off Saturday, Sunday, Monday. They were younger deputies, so that's like kind of the start of their week. And yeah, like every Friday morning, the group text, it's Fuck It Up Friday, boys. Who we chasing today? Like, what are we gonna do? So much fun.
Yeah, that gets you jacked up. It's like, all right, I got a group of guys. We're fucking hard chargers.
Yeah,
like let's go fuck shit up. Let's get it.
Admin's not going to fuck with this because we're actually doing cop work. Like, yeah. And you're not worried about it, the administration. And now it's like, oh, I'm going to sit in a parking lot Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Which is what the last 4 years have taught us. 5 years now.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in a parking lot, limit self-initiated. And
Yep. Yeah. Yep. Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Protect yourself.
Alcohol also played a lot into my anxiety, which affected me at work too.
Yep. I can imagine.
So then I fell in the trap of anxiety, depression, recently PTSD, which everyone knows about.
Mm-hmm.
OCD, ADHD, all these things.
You gotta check this. Sean Ryan just had a guest on, Gary Brecka. Brecka, Brecka, I think is what it is. Look, bro, watch this podcast. He's like a human biologist, a microbiologist. Like he even says, like, I'm not a doctor. And my wife and I started watching. We watched the first hour and a half. We'll watch the last hour and a half here. But he talks about all of the stuff that we're talking about right now and how it is directly related to our gut health. Like anxiety, ADHD. I mean, pick your, quote, mental health issues. Well, and a lot of it is how we treat our bodies. Let's be honest, like whether it's fitness and diet and exercise, all that crap. But dude, some of the stuff he says, the one of the biggest deficiencies Americans have, vitamin D3. It's one of the biggest deficiencies.
Yeah.
And the key is what he was saying was vitamin D3 with K2, which is a whole nother, I can't remember, it's like M7. I'd have to look at the bottle, but especially here, right? It rains for 10 and a half months out of the year.
Yeah.
So I would strongly encourage you to watch that. It's super, super educational. Very educational.
I think after the audience has listened to this episode, a lot of people have been asking me, what's next? What do you plan on doing? Are you going to get out? Are you going to continue? I already know your opinion, Brian.
My opinion doesn't matter. It's what you and your family want to do, man.
I'm focused on getting back to work, right? I don't want to be a slouch that wants to go on disability. I'm not saying that everyone that goes on disability for PTSD is a slouch, but
right.
I don't want to be that person. I want to go back to work. I'm actively getting better, have been getting better.
Mm-hmm.
And I look forward to going back to work. I'm actually getting anxious just sitting around majority of my time.
I know. Yeah. I support you in that, man. I know you're like, I know your opinion. You don't. I fuck with you. I support you in that. I support you in wanting to go back to work. I absolutely support that because you are getting healthier. You're putting the work in.
Right.
And fortunately, you work for a place that is helping you with that and giving you the opportunity. And helping you get healthy. Now, I mean, that's a pretty amazing thing that agency's doing. You give credit where credit's due.
I agree.
Right?
I agree. And everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
God is the biggest influencer, and
Mm-hmm.
by the grace of God, I'm talking to a guy on the internet, and he sees that I look like shit. I start talking about my issues and thoughts of suicide, and he reaches out to the agency, and they find out, and I get placed. My work comp gets approved, and then the agency says, "Hey, we're going to be placing you on leave to help yourself get better."
Medical leave. Yeah.
Correct.
Yes. Not punitive, not, yeah. Yep.
No, and at first it did feel punitive. I mean,
it does.
They show up to your house, take your gun and badge. It's nothing worse than having that happen. But
right.
Looking back now, it's one of the best things that's ever happened to me and my family.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And I would say to you and to anybody, like I support that. It's for me. It's I've said this on other episodes too. As long as your wife stands behind that, drive on, dude. Drive on. I also stand very firm in any first responder. If their spouse is telling them they're done and no more, that means they're done and no more. There's no, that's it. Obviously, there's conversation, right? You can have conversation about it. That's not what I'm saying. It's not that black and white. But if it's a hard line for a spouse, then it's over. Because I mean, look at the divorce rate in cops and firefighters and paramedics, man. It's huge, and I can't help but think, because so many of us are so stubborn, that spouses did come to them, or maybe they didn't say it out loud. Maybe it was just one of those known things where these spouses just can't, they're kind of done dealing with it. And the first responder really chooses the job over saving that marriage and family. Right. Like, why would you do that? Why? It's a job. Like, there's because it identifies us.
Yeah, and I'm guilty of, I've spent a lot of time working on myself, focusing on myself. It's kind of like the old saying of putting the oxygen mask on yourself before you save your kids. You got to help yourself before you can help others.
Yep, truth.
That's the point that I'm at now. Is I've been focusing a lot of my time getting better. Mm-hmm. That now it's time to start focusing on my family again.
Yeah, good, as you should. Good, because I don't know what that noise was. That just made a weird noise. But you have to, and I'm with you in that same, like I've had months and months and months to focus on me, and then my wife and I come back together and we can focus on us, and then we focus on our family. That's how it works. Yeah. But it starts with us individually, and no, good for you, dude. Like I said, I've seen the work you put in, obviously. I've seen the change in you, because the fact is we can't change who we are. It's not possible. The only thing humans can do is become better versions of themselves. That's it. We can't change who we are. It's our DNA. We can walk a different path and become better versions. That's it. So I hope you get the support from your family, because you're one of those guys in uniform that we need out there, dude. And I'll tell that to anybody. Like, we need to have guys and gals out there that still have compassion for the people that we serve, and you're one of them. And I hope it does, and I hope Ashley is on board with that for your sake. Like I said, if Ashley's not on board with it, then you need to be open. In my opinion, you need to be open to not. You cross that bridge when it comes. But
yeah, one thing I know is I just don't want to be in that dark place again.
Never.
That was, depending on how spiritual you are, that was pretty demonic.
Yeah, I remember some conversations you and I were having during that time, and you and I were talking about, like, that's the adversary, dude. Mm-hmm. That's quite literally the devil with his grasp on you, because he's got you.
Right.
right? I mean, that the adversary goes after believers more than non-believers. Why would he go after non-believers? He doesn't need them. He already has them. But when you're a believer, yeah, he gets some claws in you, and he's going to do anything he can to stop you from witnessing Christ to anybody else. That's just the truth of it. But
yeah.
But now you're not in that dark place.
Right.
You've come through.
I never expected ever having thoughts of suicide until I started going through it.
Mm-hmm. It's scary.
Very much so. I'm just being pissed off at the world and just thinking constantly, fuck you to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Just pissed off.
Mm-hmm. And what brought you to, what got you to the point of, I mean, I guess I should say, who were you angry at? Were you angry at anybody in particular? Can you think of things? Was it, and if it was, don't mention names. I mean, was there, is it because of the job? Like you were just angry at society?
Society, and one thing I'm still working through therapy is my wife. I don't know why. Mm-hmm. I just remember having thoughts of just dark thoughts of just going out in the worst way possible just to traumatize anyone around me.
Mm-hmm.
Telling my wife, she wanted me to be open and honest with her, just telling her, like, I had these thoughts of just fuck you, fuck everyone. Like, that's all I thought about. And like I said, it was pretty demonic. That's not me. That's never been me. But to have those thoughts, whether it's the combination of alcohol plus mental health medications, mental health issues, depression, and then Ashley asking me, hey, I want you to be open with me. I want you to be honest. Tell me everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then me telling her everything, laying it all out for her. And it scared her. It scared her. It makes me want to be more reserved about my mental health or my thoughts because it scares people. But people need to know how I'm feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to be honest with people.
Being emotionally vulnerable with the right people.
Yeah, whether or not she can handle it, she wants me to be open with her. Has it affected my relationship with her? Yeah. I mean, if you heard your spouse tell you that they wanted to hang themselves in the garage with an extension cord, just be done with it and just sick of feeling a certain way, depression, that's pretty traumatic to have your spouse tell you that.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, there's no way around that. Like that's got to be like, yeah, that's the love of her life. That's, you know what I mean? That's you're the father of her kids. That's
yeah, and people ask, well, how come you thought about hanging yourself? Because if I had my guns taken away, I voluntarily gave my guns to a friend because I would find myself pacing back and forth in front of my safe.
Mm-hmm. But you had, and you, fortunately, you had the wherewithal to take the steps.
I knew
make it
something
safe.
Was not right.
Right. To make it safe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, I go back to, and like you said, somebody making that call, it changed everything and put you on the path of, okay, I need to get healthy.
Yeah,
and that's the path, and that's the path you've been on, and that's great.
It's God's intervention.
Oh yeah, dude. You can get me preaching. We keep this.
Yeah. Well, this is the entire reason I started this platform, this podcast, is because I've gone through it myself. It's okay to not be okay, as silly as it sounds, but you need to have healthy outlets. You need to have those open conversations and understand that you're not alone. You need to be able to trust that one person that you can tell, whether it's me or Brian. I've laid out my story. You guys know what I've been through. And you're not alone. Just
that's the
entire premise of this platform.
It is breaking the silence, and nobody's ever alone. Regardless, I mean, obviously we're focused on the first responder community, but that goes across the board. Like nobody's ever alone. Even when you feel like you're alone, you're not. Like you're not. There's still, right when you feel like nobody cares, even if people have told you they don't give a shit and pound sand, there's still people out there that do. There just is. Friends, family, you name it. Yeah, dude, and it is, I mean, 100% God intervention, Holy Spirit driven, for sure. This whole thing that we're doing, I know for me, well, for both of us, is man, I think this was written a long time ago. This was already written, and we have affected people already. We have, and like Adam Myers said, you know, at the end, I'm a police captain and I take medication for mental health. Who cares? Right? Like that's what he said.
Yep.
And I think it's gotten better. It's just in society. I think it's gotten more accepted, or maybe understood. I don't know. I don't know the right word for it.
It's generational for sure. Based off the fact that years ago you would never talk about this. No. And that's the story that we hear from a lot of our guests. Yeah. Is you would never talk about this. It was never taught. Suck it up, keep doing your job. And people like myself continuing to go through this career, you know, putting another 15 years in. Who knows what the next generation is going to be, but this conversation is going to be more open and more talked about. Passing and that hopefully torch. It has potential of saving more lives in our community.
Oh yeah, I mean we've all, you know, the statistics of broken marriages, broken families, the suicide. I mean, as an agency, we just dealt with it. Was it 2 months ago? Month and a half ago? One of our own.
Yep.
One of our own took his own life, and it's.
I saw way too many similarities.
Yep. Between you and that person.
Correct.
Yeah, and me too, man. Me. When that happened, I mean, you and I I think we had just started this whole thing when that happened, and I was like, okay, this is. I mean, it hits home obviously because it's. You know, it's one of us, but but then to see that, I agree. The similarities, I agree, dude. I agree.
Yep. And that scared me. But
yeah,
I recognized it.
You did. You recognized it and put the work in, and you still put the work in, and that's the catalyst for all of this. It's like you've got to put the work in. You have to, and it's not easy work. It's not.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I think the commander saw similarities too.
Think so?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
I mean, I don't doubt it. I know. I think we work every day with. I think we work with more people that are going through what you've gone through than what we realize. I do.
I can agree with that.
Yeah. And it, I mean, it's only logical, right? I mean, the bullshit that we do for day in and day out. I mean, it's only, and there are some that don't. Some of them come through just fine. Whatever. Cool. Yeah. You did not. I did not. Like, it's just, it is what it is. I didn't, thank God above. I'm not battling alcoholism. But obviously, there's other demons there.
Yeah.
The anger, everything we've talked about.
And honestly, I wouldn't mind pushing this episode out sooner than later. Because I think this message is important.
Yeah.
I think this story is important and it could save lives.
Yeah. I don't disagree. We own this shit, dude. We can do whatever we want with it.
Yeah. That's
we can
true.
push out whatever the fuck we want. That's the truth. But well, then let's do that. I'd say let's wrap it up because it is coming up on midnight. And like we mentioned earlier, I am old and fragile.
You need your beauty sleep.
I do. I've got a meeting tomorrow at 11 with our financial person.
Yeah. You keep saying this isn't all about doom and gloom, yet here we are, just fucking trauma dump.
I know.
God.
Well, yeah, whatever. I
mean, it needed to get out there.
It needed to get out because the fact of the matter is, Mitch, we haven't really told your story. And if I'm being completely honest, when I talked to you earlier about, hey, let's jump on and record and just kind of chit chat, this is exactly where I wanted it to go because we haven't told your story.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, Brian, and thanks everyone for listening. I'll say it again, you're not alone. You know what Brian and I have been through. Please reach out. Shit gets dark, reach out.
Yeah, I would. I mean, there's with the internet, there's so many resources, right? There's so many resources to reach out and talk to people. And
Safe Call Now. I've called Safe Call Now numerous times when I was in crisis or PTSD episode, and they're first responders, so they understand.
Yeah. Yep. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. I'm glad we finally took the time to get your story out like that, dude. And I know there's going to be a lot of people that, who knows, man. I mean, the fact is that like the people that know us they're a thumbnail in all of this. We love them. They're important to us, right? The agency we work for is a thumbnail in the big picture of this whole thing. It hits home for people that work there because they know us, and they work there. And it's nothing against them. It's nothing against that agency. It's just our truth. And in the big picture of all of this, though, we've reached people all over this country. That's what matters, is just reaching people. And if people don't like our truth, even if it means that we spout off of how we feel we were treated poorly by our agency, okay, that's our truth. We don't lie. We don't make shit up. That's just our truth.
We don't sugarcoat shit.
No.
Oh, by the way, it's reached 4 different countries.
Yes. Has it really?
Yeah.
No shit. Well, we do have a coworker that is deployed now, and I know that person is listening to it in Eastern Europe somewhere?
Yeah.
Somewhere like that? Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they still are because they're on deployment. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know what. Probably shouldn't divulge too much about what they're doing on deployment.
I almost said it, but nah.
Right. Yeah. No, we're not going to do that. They're super cool ninjas. They're doing super cool shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks for listening to Shielded Voices. Like, subscribe, follow, do all the cool things, and we will. We don't know when this will get kicked out. I'm not even going to tell you what day we recorded this because this is just going to be called. Well, I think we'll just call this. We should just call this the Rando episode. Just call it Rando because this was totally off the cuff. Yeah. Rando, or we could just call it Mitch's story. We'll see.
If you're still here listening, thank you. This wasn't an easy episode. We went to some dark places, talked about trauma, addiction, moments where I didn't want to be here anymore. but I needed to go there because that was my truth. That is the truth for so many of us who wear this uniform or carry the weight of what we've seen and lived through. I spent years keeping all of this inside, trying to stay strong, trying to survive by staying silent, but the real strength came when I finally opened up, when I let people in, when I stopped running from my pain and started facing it with help, with faith, and with people who refused to let me fall alone. I don't share any of this for sympathy. I share it so you know that healing is possible. That if you're in that dark place, you're not broken beyond repair. You're not alone, and you're not weak for feeling what you feel. Being vulnerable saved my life, and if you're struggling, I hope this gives you permission to do the same, to speak up, to reach out, to let someone walk with you through it. Shielded voices exist because voices like ours need to be heard, unfiltered, honest, and human. Thank you for holding space for mine today. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other.